review. We broke for lunch, and what we basically left off was the fact that we pulled everything into like this run file. The run file is going to be directly equivalent to that combo file that we built yesterday. Only I named it run this time around because you'll typically see it called run in production. I only called it combo yesterday because that's kind of like what it is. It pulls in all the files, so everything's in scope. We tested that by running the actual run.rb file and then just checking to see, do we have access to all the classes that we've built. We left off with the fact that like, hey, let's just kind of talk about like maybe a couple simple deliverables that we'll kind of work through together, think through the logic, and then we'll build. So the first thing is like, the idea is that like a doctor should know all of their patients, right? So let's kind of start with this. If a doctor needs to know all of their patients, what are some of the things that we need to be considering in terms of like how we're building deliverables? What's like the first thing that I think is like kind of important that I mentioned to kind of like, where's a good place to start? Yeah, like what's the scope? Should this be an instance method or a class method? Right? If a doctor needs to know about all of their patients, then where would you want to put this? Would you want to put it on the doctor class or on the doctor instance?
Doctor.
Right? Who says instance? Class? Instance again? Wow, nice. Yeah, I would put it on the instance for sure. So the next thing is like, in terms of like the method, instance method, should this go in the doctor class or in the patient class?
Doctor. He wants to know his patient.
Right, he or she, right?
Sorry.
It's okay. So, right, like this doctor, right, should know about all of their patients. So we're in the doctor class. We've identified that it should be an instance method. So how do we name this thing, right? We got method here. What would you want to call this? All right, something like my patients or patient names. Because think about what it's going to look like at the end of the day, right? You're going to have like doctor 1, and it's going to call this instance method. So if you call something like patient names, what are you expecting to see? Right, just names, particularly. A good method might be something like my patients, something like that. If that's the case, then this should be named my patients. And kind of like, that's like the idea. Like, what does it really look like in execution? How is that readability? And then that's really how we're going to name things. So in terms of my patients, let's think through the logic. If I need to know all my patients, what do I kind of need to like look through?
An array of objects.
Right, I need to look through an array of objects, right? I need to look through possibly all the patients, maybe look through all the appointments. Like, what would make more sense to you? This is orange soda. I haven't had this in a long time. Just like took a second to enjoy it, and I actually missed what you said. I'm just being honest. I'm sorry. The question one more time is, if I'm trying to like find all my patients, right? What should I be looking through?
An array of the class of patients.
An array of the class of patients. Okay. Right. So should I be looking at all the patients or all the appointments?
All the patients.
Let's go back. Let's go to the chart. Oh, that's my terrible calendar. Let's go to the chart. So, whoa, zoomed in. The patient and the doctor relationship, they only really kind of like know each other through the appointment, right? So if I go through all the patients, what am I sort of sorting through at that point?
Not all the different labels.
Right, going through all the appointments, right? Like it only makes sense if I'm a doctor to see all my patients. If I'm like, you know what if I look at all the appointments, sort of like where I'm the doctor, or what if I look at all the appointments, all the patients that have appointments where I'm the doctor? Which one makes more sense to you?
I would say all of the patients, because what if you had an appointment in the past? was still living.
It's still living.
Okay. That's like a good discussion, right? And then it just died.
I mean, it's relative to what the use case is. So,
Can you give a more specific description? Like, because if we're, like, let's say if somebody was looking for a patient and they were asking us if they were a patient of mine, I'd be looking for all patients, not for all appointments. If I was looking for my, what's going on in my day, I'd be looking for the appointments.
I think you have to
Or-
remember that our patient doesn't necessarily have, like, you can't look at a patient and that patient won't tell you who they had an appointment with. The only way to know is if you find them in an appointment. Because, like, the patient doesn't store their doctor.
well, no, you can create a method to store the appointments in the past, and that would be something that you could add on to the class.
The appointments are doing that for you.
The appointment, yeah, it's like, you
Making an
can
extra
that,
step.
an appointment.
Yeah. So like if your model is like New York City, you're like I'm a doctor in New York City, then the patients is everyone in New York City, right? Or yeah, it's like all the patients could be all people.
No, but it's my patients, right?
No,
Right, but you're trying to find the ones that are yours. The only way that you know that they're yours is you have the name of one.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's good discussion, right? I thought I saw this ad already. And just kidding. So, in terms of like the knowledge base, right? Where that single source of truth is. If I want to know the relationship between this patient and this doctor, I have to go through the appointments. There's no other way. If I'm looking through all the patients, right? What am I checking really? What are the attributes of patient? Well, let's take a look. What are the attributes of patient? Name, age, gender, and whether or not this person has insurance. Where in the patient can I find who the doctor is? Nowhere, right? That information sort of doesn't really belong to the patient. If, however, I look through all the appointments, the appointment knows about both the patient and the doctor. So really, the idea is kind of like if I'm looking for all my patients, first I need to collect of all the appointments where I'm actually the doctor. And then if I look through all of those appointments, I can see who's the patient inside those appointments. Right? So let's kind of go through this, right? I'm going to look through, right, all the appointments. I spelled that wrong. Look through all the appointments, right? And then I really want to know, like, am I the doctor in that appointment? Because right now, the appointments know about all the appointments that exist. So if I look through all the appointments, and then from there, I will find essentially only the appointments where I'm the doctor, right? Like, I am the doctor in the appointment. And then from there, you want to check all of those appointments. Sorry, I don't know why I keep putting points. All of those appointments and check to see like who the patient is. So far, so good? All right. So how can we actually test this? Like this method. Can we test this method right now? Now, what will we really need? We need like test data, right? Should I put the test data in the doctors? Where should I put this test data? Right, in the file that has the scope of everything. And so that's the run file. So let's actually make some test data. So let's make some doctors. Boop, boop. New. All right, what are these doctors' names? What is it? Just name, specialty, and degree.
14.
It's killing them out there. All right, cool. All right. I don't even know how to spell that.
AA.
You know what somebody was doing during lunchtime?
Great, just Dr. Ka. Great. And what does Dr. Ka do? Specialty, yes.
Ooh, cardio.
Fine, cardio. Wow. Man, lunch has really got me messed up. And just,
It's still candy.
Sorry, it's impossible.
I'm hurting out here. All right, great. So let's have another doctor. What? Okay, Doogie. Great, and what does Doogie do? What? Neuro. Wow. Wow, I'm jacked up. MD? Sure. All right, Doolittle, very good. Great. All right, pets? Sure. Great. All right. Cool, we'll figure out. Can I make an appointment right now? No, why not? I don't have a patient, right? That'd be crazy to me. Boop, boop. You can name these, right? Like you can put them like Evans and Chet and Vera if you wanted to. I'm just really lazy, so it just makes more sense for me if I just like put like patient 1, patient 2, patient 3. All right, great. So patient dot and what are the attributes of patient? Name, age, gender, and insurance. All right. Here we go. All right, we'll ask the audience. How old am I? 8. Okay. All right. Cool. I'll play. What would you like here over here? Oh, this one's on me? Okay, great. Okay, me. Very good. All right. And do I have insurance?
Nope.
Okay, that was fast. All right. Anyone else? Okay, we'll pull from our teachers. Old Chet. Chet, how old are you?
Oh.
Okay, very good. Nice.
He's over 90.
Gender preference?
No.
Great. And do you have insurance?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Responsible adult there. Okay, Vera. How old are you? Damn. All right. Okay. And gender preference? Okay. All right. Do you have insurance? Okay, very good. Okay, I guess I am just failing at life. All right, so now let's just make some appointments, right? Point 1, 3, 4. Great. Let's make a new appointment. And what is this? Patient, doctor, and time. Okay. Okay. Whoops. Okay. So, I guess patient 1, will see Dr. Doolittle at, I don't know, 10. Sure. Cool. All right. I probably should have went. It's all right. It's all right. I also happen to see Dr. Doogie. Chet will see. Chet, who do you want to see? Dr. Ka, Dr. Doogie, or Dr. Doolittle? Obviously. What about you, Vera? Ka, Doogie, or Doolittle? Wow. All right. Those. Yeah. No one wants to see the cardiologist, right? It's because we're so young. All right. Great. Let's actually test this thing.
Wait, you're all at 10. Not gonna work.
Say again over.
Aren't you patient 1 twice? You can't have 2 appointments at the same time.
Oh, you're right. Just kidding. Oof. Good shout. Oh, you could have.
I think he's saying change
Sure. I've got back-to-back appointments. All right. So let's test, right? If I run, Ruby, run. Great. So nothing's crazy, right? Nothing's like on fire. There's no crazy syntax errors. I can check the doctors. Okay, there's no D4. That's great. I can even check the appointments, and I can check the patients. Right? So nothing's like on fire. I should be testing as I go. And so really what I'm trying to do now is get sort of this to work. So what I'm trying to do is basically figure out like how does my patients work, and ultimately like write the logic in here. So can we look through all the appointments? Do I have access to all the appointments? All right, and how do I get that?
Go back to the file.
Which one?
Appointment, so you can see what methods.
Okay. How do I get access to all the appointments? Great. Self.all right here. Right. Appointments.all. Okay. Right. And so I see an array of all my appointments. Very good. So I know that I can at least go through all of my appointments. So appointment.all. Very good. And we know that that's an array, so I can use the iterator. So should I be using each here? Is each the correct iterator to kind of go through and check to see if I'm the doctor inside sort of like that appointment? Okay, select sounds good. All right, and then boop, boop. What are these? X? Okay. Appointments. All right, it's gonna go through each one. So I'm gonna name it the appointment. And all I'm gonna do is end. Without getting too crazy, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop a binding here because I kind of maybe like don't really know what the next steps are. I kind of want to test this method. I want to go inside and like really debug. So if I run my code again, how can I actually invoke this method? Why did the pride not sort of like hit here? I never called this method. So how can I call this method? I can. Just like hit them up, send the quick text, you know? Right, so I'm going to pick any sort of doctor instance because it's an instance method, and then I'm just going to invoke this instance method. And that's going to be my patients. So now I'm in the binding inside this method. All right? Well, what do I want to check? Right, I want to check to see like what's actually in scope right now, what's what. I want to make sure of things. So what's appointment? Okay. So I'm the appointment. What am I really trying to do at this point? If I'm looking at all the appointments, I go through each one of them. What's important here for me? Right, like who is the doctor in this appointment? Okay, cool. All right, so inside this select, I got to find out if like I'm the doctor in the appointment. Because right now we have a total of appointment.all.length. We have a total of 4 appointments, right? I'm not necessarily the doctor for all 4 of these. And so I need to figure out which ones like I'm actually the doctor for, right? So how can we do that? If I have access to the appointment, right, and inside this appointment object, I've got doctor, patient, and a time. What's sort of important for me to kind of check? All right, the doctor. So if I do appointment.doctor, I see I have access to the doctor object. And what am I really comparing that to? Right, remember, who or what sort of called my patients? Right? Right. Doctor 1 is the one that called this method. So if I look at self, what should I see? I should see Doctor 1. So if I check the appointment, right, this first appointment, remember the iterator goes through things systematically, so here's the first appointment, and I compare it to me, am I the doctor in this appointment? All right, this is the appointment's doctor. Here I am, it's me. Am I the doctor in this appointment? No. So, okay, so I'm not really worried about that appointment. Now let me hit exit. Remember, exit and the prize is going to go to the next iteration. So let's take a look at this appointment. Okay? This appointment's doctor, and I'm going to compare that to me. Okay? Great. I'm also not the doctor for the first 2 appointments. We'll go to the next one and check. Great. We'll go to the next one. Great. does this make sense to you? Like, why is sort of self, which is Dr. 1, why did appointment.doctor run false for all of them? Right. Nobody wanted to book an appointment with Dr. 1. So naturally, if I look through all the appointments, this will be false, like every single time. Now, we can also continue testing. Let's just get out of it entirely. What if I tried Dr.2.my appointments, patients? I'm in the binding. For Dr. 2, which one of these appointments does Dr. 2 own? Only appointment 2, right? So if I look at the first one, if I look at the first one, and I look at that first appointment's doctor, I see it's Doolittle. If I go exit and I go to the next appointment, I see this one, and I compare it to me, I see that it's true, which makes sense. So if I go exit again and now I'm on the third appointment, should this run true or false? False, right? Which makes sense. Cool. How are we feeling about sort of like this select, being able to use pry, iterating through, and then testing systematically? All right, cool. If you exit with a bang, it'll just exit out of the pry session entirely. Okay. So we know that what I can do is I can go through the appointment, check that appointment's doctor, and then compare it to see, like, am I the doctor for that appointment? Okay. So once I have all of my appointments, what's important in that?
That's what select does.
So what is the important information, right? Like if I look through the appointment, what information is important, right? I've sort of filtered out all the appointments that are not necessary. I'm only tracking the ones right here based on lines 23 to 27. That gives me a collection, right? An array of all the appointments where I'm actually the doctor. What else is important at that point to kind of check? Right, the patient. So I'm here. I don't need this pry anymore for now. So here I need to somehow look through all of these. Okay? How do I do that? Right. Do I have access to this sort of like new array that select returns? No. So it's something like my appointments are equal to like all the appointments that I'm the doctor. Makes sense. So now in my appointments, which is what data type? Is it a hash, a string, a number, or an array? Okay. So I have access to all the array elements. The array methods. What am I looking for now? Huh? So if I'm trying to iterate through, is each the move? We can do select. No? Yes?
Why would we want to?
Yeah, remember what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get back a list of all of my patients.
Right, but you went through appointments, so you have appointment all of them.
Okay, that's totally fair. Let's do this. I'm going to bring back the binding. Comment this. And I'm just going to run it. And I'm going to do Dr. 3 dot my patients. Cool. So I'm at the binding on line 27. On line 27. Do I have access to the variable my appointments?
Yes.
Yeah, let's check. Okay. I see that. How many should I actually have? If I'm Dr. 3, how many appointments should I have? So if I do my appointments, which is an array, and I check the length, I see 3. So I know it filtered. Now, with my appointments, what do I really want to kind of pull out of each one of these? I need to pull out the patient information, right? So I can go through each one of these, and I want the patient information. So my appointments, should I be using dot each? What can I use to kind of pull out the information? Why would I want to use map?
Because you know that you're gonna get a person for each one of them, so it'll return a new array that would be inferior graph.
Okay, so we're in this binding, right? So I know I want to iterate through, so let's do this. I'm going to pull in the each, right? Because let's just say we don't really know what we want to do yet, but I know I have to iterate through. I'm going to do. And what are each one of these? What are each one of these?
It's still just
Right. My appointment should return an array of appointments. So if I take a look and I move the binding in there, now I'm going to test again. Oop, just kidding. I'm going to run Dr. 3 dot my patients. And so now I'm on line 25. All right, I'm going to check the appointment. And look at the information that's in there. I have a doctor, I have a patient, and I have a time. As we've talked about, it's important to kind of pull out the patient information. How can I pull out the patient information from this appointment? Did you hear that? It's kind of loud. Yeah, if I just do appointment.time, what do I get? I get the time. If I do appointment.patient, what do I get? I get the patient information. So this is what I'm looking for, right? I've went through all the appointments, checked to see which ones are mine, and then now that I'm in my appointments, I got to pull out the actual patient information. So if I can get access to the patient, I can simply do appointment.patient. If I do this, cool. What is the return value here? It's going to be the original array, right? Dot each is now sort of like helpful, so to speak. Cool? So what should be an iterator that we can use? Who wants to do select? Who wants to do something else? Okay, what do we want to do?
map or collect.
Map or collect, right, they're the same thing? Okay, cool. Let's try map and see what happens. There's no binding in here. If I run this method, it's going to return like sort of like the last line, right? So boop, 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 Ruby run. If I do d3 dot my patients, I get back an array of 3 patient objects, which is great. However, if I'm looking at my patients, right? Like think through the deliverable. If you're asking for like, hey, let me see all my patients, do you want to see patient objects or do you want to see patient names? Names. So we take that one step further, and for every appointment, we check the patient and we ask for its smart. So now let's try one more time. Wow. It's powerful. Thank you. Huh? Yeah. But does it make sense based on the data though? Like the C data, right? Okay. What about d2 dot my patients? What should come back?
An array with just n.
There should be one thing in there, right? And it'll be patient 1. Who's me, by the way. Oh, there it is. What if I do d1 dot my patients? What should happen? Empty array. Because nobody booked an appointment with Dr. 1, right? All right. That's sort of the idea, right? I'm just going to give you a list of deliverables, and you'll basically have to think through and then build that deliverable. That's really like all I'm testing you on. Yeah.
The question that, since we call it my patients, but we
not real world terms, but in terms of like what we're trying to find, you know? If you just want the patient objects, that makes sense to me, but since we're getting back to just their names, like if my patients underscore names would make more sense, but or it should be broken in like two methods maybe.
Yeah, because there might be a method that you want actually the patient object, so you could do something with that,
Yeah.
like find.
Like sounds like helper methods, right? My patients see
Yeah.
my patients see out dot name at the end.
So,
We're just
The-
thinking for.
right, the point that we're trying to make here is that it makes so much sense. You're like, okay, I could see all my patients, right? How many things does this one method do?
Two.
1, 2,
There should probably be a separate method.
right? So in terms of like that single responsibility principle, like one method should do one thing, we can basically pull this out. Now, the philosophy for me in terms of development is first make it work, then make it sexy. Right now, you can already kind of see like, it's doing two things. I can kind of pull this out. But until it becomes practical or useful, odds are I'm probably not going to go back and fix it. So let's think through like another deliverable, right? I want to see, like I'm a doctor, and I want to see, what are the attributes of patients? Right. I want to see, for whatever reason, all the patients that are younger than 18. I happen to be a pediatrician, for whatever reason, right? So I now need to kind of think through, let's make this deliverable, and that is, the deliverables like, I need to see list of patients, right, younger than 18. Cool? How would we sort of do this? What are the steps? What's like the thought process here? Okay. Yeah, I have to like basically, again, look through all my appointments, look at all the patients, and then check their ages. Here's the thing. Let's think through like really high level. Class or instance method? Don't be whispering, don't be shy. I'm over here like yelling at the top of my lungs and like, it's instance. Right? This should really be like an instance method because it's like per doctor specific. It doesn't really involve all the doctors at once. And so I'm thinking instance method. And so where does it go? Doctor, patient, appointment. Right, it should be in the doctor class, right? Because the doctor wants to see all their patients who are younger than 18. Okay, cool. And so we understand that it's instance, right, in the doctor class. And now let's write it. I'm going to write this method. What should this method be called? I felt like I was like setting myself up for failure. Pediatric
There you go.
patients.
He was basically saying the same thing. Different way.
What did he say?
He said pediatric patients,
Yeah.
right? So really, what do you need to do here?
First, get all your people.
Right, probably look through look through all my patients,
So just call that method by patients first.
right? And then what do we need to do once we're inside all the patients? What are we doing? Yeah, like check, right, if they are under 18. That's really all you're doing. So what can I do here?
Call my patients.
You can, but what does my patients return?
List of patients.
Specifically.
So just take that name.
Now you're thinking, right? If I look at my patients, it returns, unfortunately, an array of strings. And so that's not super helpful to me. Because if I call like .age on a string, what happens? Undefined method age for string class. Right? Before I move forward, show of hands. that error message made sense to you?
The thing you
Like if I called my patients and then I called like dot age on each of them.
I mean, based on the return value, no.
Correct. Okay, good. So we can do a couple things. We can do this, and then we can go bloop. Who feels good about that?
I don't.
Right? Who thinks that that's like a really good thing to do? All right. Appreciate all of you. Like that is what is known as like code smell. And that is sometimes you can't tell exactly what's wrong, but you know something's a little off. You know what I'm saying?
A little sour.
So, yeah, if you hear something when someone's reviewing your code, you're like, oh, there's code smell here. It's not because you ripped one. It's because, like, I don't know exactly what's wrong, but something in here just doesn't seem right. And so, yeah, we can probably just adjust this method. And then we can call it my patients, which is going to give you what? An array of patient objects. So if I'm in this array, what can I do? I got to look through all of them. So what should I be doing here? Each?
No, you wanna select.
Okay. Why select?
You're gonna give some conditions, you can map it to another array.
You were very close. I wouldn't use the word map when talking about select. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the idea is that like I only.
Array, with the condition that you provided in your select statement.
Right. The idea is that I only want to pick the patients that are under 18. Right. I only want to select the ones that are under 18. So what are these? X? Appointments? Smart. Okay, very good. Thank you. And so, how are we feeling about this logic? Or should I drop the pry?
No.
Pry, 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 pry. All right, not a chanting class. Very good. Patient dot. Do I need the name? Is that important? Gender, is that important?
Insurance.
Insurance? Okay, right. It's obviously the age. So, like, check. Wow. 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 Right? Like, sorry. If the patient dot age is what? Greater than? Less than? Equal to? Right? Less than 18? Do what?
don't,
All right, like if the patient's age is less than 18, you're good to go. Cool. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is, let's test it. Newbie.run. If I take a look at Dr.2 pediatric patients, I see that this came up. Is that correct? Is that correct? Okay, what about Dr. 3 and checking the pediatric patients? What should we get here?
the patient
Dr. 3 has how many patients? All right, all three essentially, right? And are all three under 18? No. Who is under 18?
You and me.
Like me and Vera, right? So, okay, great. I only see me and Vera come up. So I know that this method is working. Yeah?
Is there any way to kind of return the names and all of that together?
The names and all of that together.
The object, I don't know, I don't see a name. Am I missing?
Under what?
Oh,
Got it. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, all the information is inside the object. Okay, cool. So how are we feeling about like meeting these deliverables? Yes, no?
You might drop like leaving the comments, some of the comments in there, so that like.
Oh, I leave all the comments in.
Oh,
Okay. All right. All right, so let's think through, right? So those are just some deliverables. In terms of like the run, what about the patients should be able to see all their doctors? What's sort of like the scope for this? Instance in the patient? Okay, fair. So I'm inside the patient. I'm gonna make an instance method like this. I'm just gonna keep going. It ain't it, okay. Why, what does this make exactly? Okay, cool, right? Because it's prepended with self, that creates the class method. So here, now we have the hardest question of the day is always, what's for lunch? The second hardest is like, what to kind of name these methods. So what do I want to name this method? My doctors? What? I'm sorry. Yeah, like is this what it's supposed to look like? Would this make sense to you? Okay, cool. Just gonna rip that. Cool. Here's the code. Nice. All right. So what do we need to do here? Should I just go through all the doctors? That's the goal, right? The goal is like I need to see all the doctors that I'm seeing, but ultimately, should I be going through the doctors directly? Right, because the patient only knows the doctor through the appointment. So I have to go through the appointments. Right, so look at all my appointments, then pull, right? Like this is just kind of like the English, right? Then pull the doctors from all my appointments. Yeah, does that make sense? No? Yes? No? Yes? Fonz? All right, quick. So how can I go through a list of all my appointments? I could just copy it.
From the other
Okay. I like how you just wait. Can you just? All right. Sure. If I run this, is that right?
Not quite.
Okay. What is sort of off about this?
You want the patient to see yourself.
Right. I'm not checking the doctor in this case. I want to see all of my appointments, but now inside the patient class, I'm going to be checking the. Cool. All right. Are we just good to blindly trust this, or should we test it? Okay. You're a wild class. All right. So doctor 1 dot my doctors. Okay. Just making sure. P1 dot my doctors. Interesting. Let's take a look at that run file. What am I looking for here? Based on the seed data, does it match up with what I'm looking for? How many appointments should patient 1 have? 2, right? So I can always go check. Remember, it returns an array, so you have access to all the array methods like .length. That makes sense. What about p2 dot my doctors dot length? How many appointments should patient 2 have? Okay. Cool. So like I'm systematically checking. This should make sense to me. Yeah? All right. Kind of like, what do I do now? What's the next step? Yeah, right? Like once I kind of have all my appointments, I need to look through each one of these and check what? All right? Got each. What are these again? They're appointment objects. And what do I need inside this appointment object? Sure, the doctor. Okay. Is this good? We done? What does each return? The original array. So what can we kind of maybe like change or modify? What would map do? What does map do?
Goes through each one and modifies it.
Right. It does a one-for-one transformation of the data. So let's take a look at this. Boop, 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 boop. So if I'm inside this binding, are we cool about how we got here? All right. So I look at the appointment, and I look at the appointment.doctor. Really what I want this whole thing to return is probably this doctor object. So if I use map, I can do a one-for-one transformation and change it from my appointments, right, which is an array of appointment objects, into just what?
An array of documents.
Just the doctor objects. So that's that one-for-one transformation. I'm going through my appointments, I'm running .map, so I can change it from the array of appointment objects into an array of doctor objects. All right. Boop. So map. Boop. Cool. All right. How we feeling about this? Yeah. All right. Cool. So. Great. So like, let's just say, for whatever reason, I'm a doctor and I want to know all of the patients that are male. How do we feel about completing this deliverable? I'm here and I want to see like all the patients who identify as male. Right? A doctor should see a list of all of their patients who identify as male. Can you do this? Right? Just like a thumbs up, thumbs down. All right. That's really like the idea, right? So I'm just going to take a quick pause here.